Hey guys, Carrots here with another review, and thank you all for your patience in waiting for this review. This time I'll be reviewing the Deluxe Ride Striker from Kamen GO. This is the rider machine of GO and Gates, which transforms from a ride watch into a bike. So, let's get started. To start, we'll look at the Ride Striker in its default form of the bike ride watch. So, as the name suggests, this is a ride watch, though one of a different shape and kind of different size than the others. From the front, it looks pretty standard. You have the basic ride watch face shape. Inside you have the sticker which reads bike in katakana, ba-iku. And you have the arrow to indicate that goes on the armor time side of the belt. If you look at it from the side though, you can see it has a lot more mass and is a bit more of an unorthodox shape, and that's because of how it's folded up and how it will unfold into the Ride Striker. Now, being a ride watch, this actually does have a rail on the back, meaning it is compatible with the Jakku driver. And besides just this, they actually did put in a little bit more detail in, such as putting in a kind of faux version of the standard button on the top of a ride watch here, complete with the Kamen lettering. So, let's test it out with the Jakku driver. So, bringing in the Jakku driver, the first thing we're actually going to do is test it out on its own, and you'll see why once we bring in other ride watches. So, we'll slide into the right side, and you'll notice the screen flash blue for the standby animation, but it has no sounds. So, we'll unlock it and give it a good spin. And in this case, it reads across Ride Striker, plus some bike noises. Next we'll bring in the GO ride watch, and use it with that. So sliding it in, you'll see that the standby for the bike ride watch actually overrides the normal one for the GO ride watch. We'll use it again. And so we got the transformation sounds from the GO ride watch, as well as the Ride Striker sounds from the bike ride watch. We can also activate the finish time. And this time we do get a standby sound since it comes from the ride watch. We can also test it out with the Gates ride watch. And finish time. Next up, let's transform the bike ride watch. So to start, we're going to take the front section here and unclip it in two spots, here and here. And then we're going to split it open and fold out the back wheel like this. Then fold this part back to become the seat and go to the back, and we're going to rotate around the rail until it locks into place here. Then we'll take the handlebars, straighten them out like this, and then fold them as we fold forward the front cowl. Then flip out the front wheel. And there we have the Ride Striker. So in this mode, it's got a lot more details that it reveals. Starting off, we have the front cowl, which has this kind of Geo-esque rider face with some clock hand antenna, plus some pink eyes and a little mouth plate. On top of this watch face, or rather as a watch face to this watch base. We've got the handlebars here, which are the standard kind of soft plastic. Have the wheels here, which spin quite nicely. Nice detailing and paint for the seat, as well as the back section with the tail light. It does have some good paint apps. And you'll notice that it has a little bit of an excessive amount of use of the Kamen lettering, having it in 4 different places, not counting the one up here. Got on both of the hubcaps, on this part here, as well as on the seat itself. Now there is a little bit of a discrepancy in the design between the version in the show and the version of the toy, which is specifically this section here, where it kind of flows into this watch strap. In the show, this is more of a cowling that swoops over the bike and goes on both sides, but because of the way this folds up, it had to be flattened up against the side. But you can still see a lot of other nice details like the engine mold in here, as well as the chains for the rear wheel. You can also see that the reason why this part has to be folded down like this is because this acts as the kickstand, basically letting you rest it against the side like this. Of course, what is a bike without a rider? So, we'll bring in the Rider Armor Series Kamen RGO, which I have pre-posed. We'll just get him on there, and put his hands on the handlebars. And so there we have the Ride Striker with a figure on it. You can see it's pretty well sized. Though you do have to just kind of be careful to try to get this leg in here, just so you don't have it kind of bumping up against the rail part and looking kind of awkward. Like that, the figure still rolls along quite nicely. And if you want to, you can actually move this up a little bit to here to lift up the kickstand for a more free range of motion. Then removing Geo, we can then bring in Gates and test him out as well. And I'd certainly say that this is definitely another advantage of having these kind of permanently gripping style of hands, because it makes it easier to attach them to the handlebars of the bike. Whereas with older rider figures, you'd have to basically have them clutch it with using those finger joints, which weren't always the most stable of things. And so that is what Gates looks like riding the bike. Now admittedly, these guys do seem a little bit awkward on there, and it's mostly down to the different sizing. It's not entirely accurate, but it is a pretty good scale for these figures, and certainly does work with what they're going for and with the new size of figures. And finally, the bike ride watch is also compatible with the ride watch holder and either the Jikan G-Raid or Jikan Zax. For the ride watch holder, like any other ride watch, you just plug it in using the railing. And you can even plug in a second ride watch. Though when removing it, I'd actually recommend taking out the one on the left socket first, since this part will want to get in the way. Then for this, I'd also recommend pushing it in like this while removing it, just so that you keep this in place and don't have it rotating outwards while you're trying to rotate it in the socket. Then you can also attach it to the socket here on one of the weapons. though because it has no electronics, it'll just activate the weapon special attack sound, though it is good if you want to just hear that sound without anything playing over it. And there we go. Overall, the Ride Striker is a cool rider machine with an interesting concept, though not one that's original to it. This basically uses the same idea as the lock vehicles from Kamen Rider Gaim, in that it takes a gimmick item that's compatible with the belt, and then uses that to transform into the rider's bike. Now, I think this does a little bit of a better job than those, because from what I'd seen of them, and though I didn't own all of them, what I did generally see is that the way they worked, they generally made the bike mode very thin and very skinny, and kind of feel off in comparison to the rider. And while, as I described, there is a little bit of flattening that needs to be done in order for the transformation to be possible, I think that the overall bike does come out looking a little bit better and a little bit more proportionate to the rider. It also is definitely cool how it has all the same compatibility as the ride watches, and does have its own unique sound in the GQ driver. So this is definitely something cool to get if you are collecting ride watches, because you can use it with your GQ driver, or if you have the Legend Rider series, or rather the Rider Armor series figures, and want a bike to use with them. It is definitely a cool pickup, though obviously if you're not so much into it, this is something you can pass on since it's not an essential, but it is a nice piece to go along with your figures. Next time I'll be reviewing the Forza Ride Watch and Fi's Ride Watch, Friday at 6 PM PST. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is K-Rox50, riding off.